Welcome to the Loyal Opposition Podcast. I'm Bernie Flowers, one of Uncle Sam's wayward sons. I intend to talk about important topics every week in hopes of helping to improve our country and our way of life. Please like, share, and subscribe as we try to grow the channel and we try to defend and protect America's middle class. So with all that said, let's get started. Our guest this week is Mr. Barry Donadio. He is a former Secret Service agent, a long, extensive background in law enforcement. And without any further ado, I'm just going to let him talk about himself. Barry, how you doing?
Ernie, how are you? It's such an honor to be on this show with you. Another veteran like myself. We both served in the military at the same time. I feel great to be on with you. Just about anybody else wouldn't be as satisfying as and a friend like you are.
Well, man, we got a lot in common. I mean, not only are we conservatives, but we're patriots. And, that's a strong word coming from somebody like me. But the issue of the day is you got the background and you've got the experience and the savoir-faire to talk about just about any issue over the last 30 years. So without any further ado, tell us about your background and some of the things that you have done. And then I got some more questions for you specifically about the Secret Service and your experience.
Yeah, sure. I'm just a regular Long Island boy. Grew up in Suffolk County, New York, Long Island. And by the age of 17, I was very patriotic. So I had joined the Army infantry. I was National Guard. That was a great thing for me. So right away at the age of 17, I was already an infantryman serving the country, and I was very proud to do that. After that, I moved to the Army Reserve Military Police, 340th Military Police Company in New York City, Jamaica, Queens. Learned so much with them, learned how to be a police officer at a very young age. And then subsequently, I moved on to the U.S. Air Force. I got a great position, an ATR position at the National Guard base at the 106 Rescue Wing. Very proud to serve with them, security police officer, subsequently led the SWAT team there for years and was also security police investigator. So done a lot and actually assisted in the protection of President Bill Clinton. He would come in, fly into the base. I also protected Al Gore, Vice President Al Gore, as well as their airplanes, which were priority Air Force resources. From there, I went to the United States Secret Service. I did my processing for that job, my physical, at the Trade Center before it was blown up, only months before. And then right after the attacks, I was picked up by the Secret Service, served under the Bush and Obama administrations. I was able to get on what's called the Emergency Response Team, which is an elite tactical team of the United States Secret Service, assigned to the Special Operations Division. So I had a long career like that. And then finally, when I transitioned out of the military and out of government entirely, I was still young because I started young. So I decided to open up my own private security and investigation firm called Public Security LLC. And we do a lot of executive protection, private security, investigations, intelligence, strategy, all the above. So we keep ourselves busy, and I'm still semi-retired. I'm a working founder of a company and president of a company, and I still work every day in a protection mode. So that's what's going on. And I also do politics, involved heavily with the Maryland Republican Party. I was elected in 2014 to the Queen Anne's County Republican Central Committee. And I had been appointed the Sergeant at Arms of the Maryland Republican Party in 2017, and I still serve in that capacity. And recently, I was elected in Maryland's first congressional district. I received over 50,000 votes to be an alternate delegate to the RNC, and I pledged my vote to President Donald Trump. And that was a very exciting convention for us. So now I'm answering a lot of questions on Secret Service actions and attempted assassination attempts on former President Trump. So that's what I'm up to lately.
Well, I'm glad that you're taking the time to talk about this. And truth is that, first of all, people throw the word patriot around very, they throw it around often, but that term fits you. And, I'll be the first one to tell you, I've known you for quite a while. And, I'm just very impressed with your background and how you carry yourself. And more importantly, you've got the bona fides, as they say, to talk about just about anything in law enforcement, to include the Secret Service. And without any further ado, I want to ask you some questions. So,
Sure.
can you tell us about the history of the Secret Service?
So what I know of the history of the Secret Service, very, very interesting. July 5th, 1865 is when it was actually created. And Lincoln created that, but didn't see the benefits of it until after his death, unfortunately, where they really didn't become active until after that. Now, check this out. They were called Secret Service Division. That is their first name. And they came under the solicitor's office of the Treasury Building, or the Treasury Department, I should say, at the Treasury Building. But their main focus, their main duty was to go after counterfeit moneymakers. It was rampant in the United States. In fact, we may have come very close to losing the Civil War if they didn't get that under control. Because if you destabilize an entire financial system, a country just can't work. So these were very secret, specialized agents assigned to a very small office in the Treasury Department. And let me tell you, I have dove into the archives, looked at their original documents right around the time when they started. You cannot get that job. You could not get it unless you had a reference, from a Supreme Court justice, the Undersecretary of Treasury. So these were really secret, specialized, hand-picked agents just for this extremely delicate task of going and find counterfeit factories, basically making money all over the country. They reported from every city in the Union. Very, very fascinating. They really weren't used in a protective role until later. I understand they may have been around maybe later in the 1800s for a small task, but really they were then assigned to presidential protection in 1901 after the McKinley assassination, where they protected Roosevelt. And the rest is history. Everybody else would know the history from that point on. They were just in this protective role and still doing counterfeit money operations too, but quite fascinating. And I want people to understand that I think Lincoln trusted the Treasury Department greatly. He created these guys because he needed somebody he could trust with money and not steal it, not do something, like maybe work in coalition with these, counterfeiters for their own benefit. These were impeccable people that he could trust. So I imagine at that time, President Lincoln had a lot of trust in the Treasury. Now, we also have to think of geography. The Treasury Building is right next to the White House. And in fact, some of your viewers may not know this, but they were worried about an invasion of the White House during the Civil War. President Lincoln had a panic room in the Treasury Building. Okay, wow. If you look at the records, right? If the White House was invaded and there were troops outside the White House, he was going to go and hide in the Treasury Building. They had troops in a panic room with a cannon as a last stand. He trusted the Treasury Department greatly. So that's where I think if you connect the dots, he trusted Secret Service a lot. So I think that's why those guys were handpicked later on to protect presidents. I think it just all starts with very fascinating.
Well, I'll tell you that I've been around Secret Service, many agents over the past 30 years, 3 decades, whatever. And the issue today is you guys are the best of the best until just recently. We'll get further into that, but the ones that I've known are some of the best human beings I've ever met. So, and I include you in that group because I tell you, it's not easy.
No, it's not easy at all. It's a very tough job, and they have to be 100% at all times. As you can see, things happen, things go bump in the night, and they have to be able to handle it. And that's what they do. So I certainly trust them. and I'm proud to have been a part of them. And it's like being in the military where, you serve in the Air Force, Marines, Navy, whatever. That's a part of you. You're a Marine. You're always a Marine. It is the same. I can't break the label. So I'm always, giving off an aura of Secret Service, whether I'm in there or not. It was a way of life and a life-changing event, of which I'm quite proud to have been a part of.
It's funny having the background that I have. The first time I met you was at a political event. I was still working for the government and just going to an event, and I saw you and I said, okay, this guy's a Secret Service agent. There's a certain profile. You can't put your finger on it, but you know it when you see it. And you are that dude.
Yeah, it's a confidence level too.
Yeah.
Because I can pick them out in a crowd. If there's other government agencies around and they're standing around, we could always pick each other out of a crowd. It's the guys, they have an incredible amount of courage, and they just put out an aura, like you said. And you had that assumption before you even talked to me. Is that correct?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I could see you from across the room. I know I got a lot of bad habits, and people watching is one of them. But it's kept me alive all these years. But anyway, this is about you.
I would say one thing though. I wouldn't survive one day as an undercover operative because I just, I project that Secret Service policeman thing.
Yeah. So. Well, it gives people a sense of comfort when they know there's somebody, a good guy with a weapon around. How about that?
Yes, absolutely. And I appreciate that.
So let's move on to the next thing. Tell us about your experience getting into the Secret Service and what it was like to serve.
So I originally, I really didn't have much desire to join. I was in the military at the time, and back then, serving at the 106 Rescue Wing, President Bill Clinton would fly in from time to time. Made a bunch of friends with the Secret Service guys that were on his detail board. They were very nice guys. So we worked together. And like you see, the Secret Service today draws on a lot of local police to assist in their protective mission. I was military police or security police with the Air Force there at that base. So I was doing pretty critical presidential security while President Clinton was there. And when he left the base, I was protecting his airplane.
Yeah.
I was quite younger back then. It was a thrill to do that, an honor to do that. So I connected with those guys, and I ended up just going on a vacation down to Washington and met up with one of them at least. And he's like, "Hey, you should come work with us." I was like, I'm not doing that. I'm not going down to, Washington. I was living up in New York at the time. I'm not doing that. And he's like, "Oh no, fill out the application. You should do that." And I said, "Well, all right." I took the application home. I think 2 months later, I just filled it out, sent it in. I'm like, "Oh, let's see what happens." And they're like, "You want to come down and try it?" It's like, what? I never expected. I didn't know. And I was like, I better take this seriously. And so I went through the process, and I did do some of my processing. There was a place where you would go for your physical, and it was at number 7 World Trade Center. I was there in July 2001.
Wow.
Yeah, right at the base of it. And if I only knew then what we all know now. Yeah. But so I did that, and the whole attacks obviously slowed down my processing to get in the Secret Service. But by March 18th, 2002, it took that, it probably slowed down my processing. March 18th, 2002, I was in the Secret Service, and we were still obviously just starting off in a war footing. And there's a big difference between Secret Service peacetime and Secret Service in wartime. These are kind of two different things, hard to explain, hard to elaborate on, but it certainly ups the stakes on a lot of things. So, going through their training was fascinating. You learn an incredible amount of stuff. I was first sent to FLETC, Federal Law Enforcement Training Center down there in Georgia.
Yes.
Very, very rewarding experience. This is a police academy, basically, for federal police. And then there is, in Maryland, there is a place where the Secret Service teaches their officers, agents, technicians, which is a whole training school, which is just probably top of the line, like the Harvard of law enforcement, is what I would call it. So got through there. I started right at the White House, right from school. They don't tell you where you're going to work until literally like your last week of training. So there's a lot of uncertainty in what you're going to do. And I could have worked at the vice president's house right away, or work in foreign missions, protecting embassies. But I was like, wow, I'm going to be at the White House. Oh, my goodness. So at that time, I was about 32 years old. And that would be old compared to a lot of the other guys which are in their 20s. Mm-hmm. So I had some experience under my belt. I knew what I was doing. So I ended up doing very well there, signed to the White House. And then I really put my foot in it, and I joined the emergency response team, which is a tactical team for the president, any attack to the president of the White House. Wonderful team, extremely hard to get on. Yeah. This is the cream of the crop of tactical teams. My primary weapon was a P-90 submachine gun, and that is what I did. I was in black tactical gear. I was with the president daily if he was at the White House, whether it's President Bush or President Obama, on a daily basis. And what a great job. What a great experience that I had with that.
Very, very impressive. And, it's amazing, you guys have to maintain a certain level of PT standards that, would put most special forces people to shame. So I won't get into that at this point, but I guess, I want to talk about the first and second assassination attempts on the president. And I know you got some things that probably come to mind. So rather than me wasting the people's time blathering on, talk to me, just let us know what your thoughts are on the two assassination attempts.
Sure. The first assassination attempt, obviously not the result that Secret Service wants, or I want, or you want, or anybody wants, really. I know there's been a tremendous amount of criticism and kind of like blame on Secret Service. I don't really look at it like that. We have to understand that no matter how many agents or resources you have at any particular event or scenario, there's still a possibility something can happen. It's like buying a brand new battleship, sending it out to battle, and it gets sunk the first time. It can happen. You know what I'm saying? It's unfortunate, but it happens. So I don't think we should lower our standard and say, oh, well, stuff happens. But the thing is, that was a series of events. And I think what we're going to find out here when the Congress releases its report, miscommunication is probably going to be the major factor there. Whose fault is it? I don't think it's anybody's fault. I just think we need to change it to prevent it from happening again. Totally. The other thing I was thinking, Bernie, is that probably a misidentification of the shooter. Now, we have to understand there were, from my understanding, from what we know today, there were people assigned to that roof, and that would probably be the local forces, the local police. The Secret Service snipers would never be on that roof because they're shooting away from the president. So they're looking out away. They would watch that roof as an overwatch, as a secondary coverage. But we really, not to put blame anywhere, but somebody was assigned to that roof. Yeah. So with that, and let me tell you why the Secret Service would be hesitant to pull the trigger on somebody up there, because they probably thought he was one of the police snipers originally.
Wow.
I think you understand, because, all right, you have a lot of different types of police snipers. I've worked with a lot. I'm actually a certified sniper through the FBI and the Suffolk County Police in New York. I got 2 schools under my belt. What I've learned is that not every sniper is this clean-cut guy like me with a crew cut and wearing a nice uniform, because some snipers serve in multiple roles. They're undercover guys, too, and they're on the SWAT team. A week ago, they could have been doing anti-drugs, and then now they're serving on the SWAT team. They have long hair. They may even look like the assailant that was there for the Trump event. So I understand up on Nassau County, Long Island, one of their SWAT guys died in a miscommunication, just like that, a misidentification. I understand from what I heard. So I imagine the Secret Service was thinking that before they had to take that shot. Like, who is this guy? We have to make certain that this is not a police officer. And I think once he started shooting, that was obvious, but very, very unfortunate. And I know that a lot of the female agents have taken criticism. I disagree with all of that. They did their job. They did exactly what they were supposed to do. I keep seeing over and over and over and hearing criticism over the one female agent not reholstering as good as possible. Let me tell you something. I care more about, did she get it out?
Yeah.
She got it out. Okay, that's what's going to win that day, not getting it back in the holster. That's first. Okay. But the second thing is we have to understand that this detail, this protective detail, was just shot at by a military grade weapon.
Yeah.
Somebody got killed in the crowd. I don't know where that one agent was, but I'm sure she was either running around ragged or jumped on the president herself. Yeah, people have to understand that your holster can readjust, move forward, move back, and if you're going to draw your weapon and then reholster, it's actually a common thing. Here's the secret, folks. Police officers do it too on accident. If you get them all on a firing line, it is a perishable skill that you have to do over and over and over to be perfect. Yeah. So, I've spent a lot of time talking about that. Now, the second attempt obviously was more of a success for the Secret Service, and I think almost redeeming for them, although I never lost faith in the Secret Service. But they managed to have an advanced team probably scanning the woods. I don't know if it was a tactical team that found the guy with the rifle, maybe even a drone. I don't know. I also understand they didn't have a lot of time to prepare because it was an unannounced stop at the golf course. So it could look like this. I mean, you get a schedule to protect the president from 9 to 5, whatever, and he could deviate from that. He's a human being. He does what he wants.
Especially
Secret Service. Yeah, he could stop at a restaurant and say, hey, I'm stopping. What are you going to do? Say, no, we're not stopping? Yeah. So you got to do the best you can. There is safety in that, though, because nobody knows it's coming. So the question we have here is, and I think Congress is going to be asking, how is this dude waiting 12 hours in a wood line, right? Supposedly he was waiting 12 hours in a wood line prior to this. So is there an information leak? Did he get tipped off?
Yeah.
There's something going on there. We'll get to the bottom of it. But those are questions I think we're going to answer. But I think Director Rowe did a good job at the press conference. He was as transparent as possible without jeopardizing the criminal case. So kudos to him. Good job, Director Rowe. Good job to the citizen who called out the license plate, called 911, saw the person with the rifle, took a picture, put the plate out. Local police took care of it. Win-win situation for everybody. Even the bad guy didn't get hurt.
There you go. If you see something, say something. That's very important.
Absolutely. So that's where we're at now today in history.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you, what do you think about presidential security going forward? Because we've got several weeks before the election and, people at that level, Trump, he's going to require, no matter win, lose, or draw, he's going to require protection the rest of his days. So what do you think about that?
So what I think here is the Secret Service, now there's some Congress calling for it, but as far as I know, I said it first, okay? And here's what I said first. We now have to reevaluate and decide, should government itself now say, we have to protect all these candidates with the same presidential package that Joe Biden gets, because there are different levels of security. Okay, you have to understand that Jimmy Carter has a different level of security than President Joe Biden. They're different levels. They all get Secret Service protection. It's just different levels. I wish I could elaborate. You'll figure it out if you join the Secret Service. You'll know all about it. But they're different levels. Okay, so I think at this juncture we have to do this. We have to say when we're at once the candidate wins a primary, I think we just have to bring all of them to the Kamala Harris, President Trump, they all have to. I don't want anything to happen to Miss Harris either, because
Certainly not.
here's the bottom line. Of course not. And I don't think anybody wants anything to happen to Trump. But here's the bottom line: the political atmosphere is so tense right now, and this is like nothing we've ever seen in our lifetimes. So if we, God forbid, if something happens to her or him, I think it's going to bring a lot of chaos. I mean, chaos that you and I have never seen. And I think the government would look back and say, boy, if we only had done this to prevent what we now have. So I think now, latest news, that Congress is appealing. They are talking about doing exactly what I recommended, the presidential package for Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, and Donald Trump. And I think that's the way we have to move forward. For 2025, I think you're going to see congressional hearings on, when somebody wins a primary for the presidential election, they're just going to get the same exact presidential security from the Secret Service. It'll be equal. And I think that's a good step forward. And by the way, we found something we all agree on. Republicans, Democrats, and independents all agree on what I just said. So maybe that's a good thing.
That's good. Well, let me ask you, from a psychological perspective, the American people, I mean, you kind of mentioned it a little bit. We got such tension and chaos going on right now. What are these presidential assassination attempts? What is their effect on the psyche of the American people?
Well, I think it breeds conspiracy, right? Even if there's no conspiracy, that's going to be what's going to be thought. So we have to have a fair election, right? It's not fair if somebody's shot. It's not fair. We just gotta. We have to work at protecting our democracy, all of us, and really us veterans have to work, because no matter what kind of a veteran you are, the way I see it is the oath of office for us never expires.
Amen.
We protect the people. We protect the Constitution. So I think really, I think all of us veterans need to be the people who come to for calm. We have to talk to people in our communities and be that person. Say, okay, back your candidate, but let me tell you something. We're all Americans at the end of the day. We have to start saying that. We're all Americans at the end of the day, and that's what's important. That takes precedence over anything. And you know what? I'm not going to I'm not going to lose a friendship over a political election. I've served in places with people where I could care less what political affiliation they are or what they are. I'm just happy they got an American flag on their shoulder and they're on my side. That's all I care about. And I know you're the same. I could care less what race, religion, or anybody is. They're an American? Okay. Because if you're on a battlefield or you're someplace very dangerous, you're going to care less about these little divisions. Yeah, these little things that we argue about here in America. I think maybe we have too much time on our hands. But remember after September 11th, 2001, that terrible event united this country like I have never seen.
It sure did.
Now I want to unite this country without that kind of an event.
Yeah.
So I want to join you and probably a lot of other veterans that are thinking like us and say, you know what, I'm just so tired of this. Let's get some positivity back here. Let's get it removed. It really rests, and I don't think too many people are going to understand other than the veterans. It's the veterans that think like that. So
it goes away.
I implore, please, if you're watching us, me and Bernie here, we think in the same way. I'm sure we disagree on things, but whatever we may disagree on, it's irrelevant. I mean, at the end of the day, that's an Air Force veteran. I'm so happy to be in the presence, and that's where I feel safe. I feel safe with other veterans too.
Well, when we disagree with something, Barry, I'll let you know.
You'll let me.
But I tell you what, man, you are something else. And,
you can't tell that on this Zoom call, but Bernie's a bigger guy than me, so I have to listen to him.
Oh, stop it. You got the gun. So how about that? I got some guns, but I don't carry them all the time.
Right.
But anyway, I shouldn't say stuff like that, man. You're bad on me. Look, talk to the people. You got an open mic. to say whatever you want to the people, and I'm going to be quiet and let you say what's on your mind.
I just think everybody, we need to de-escalate. I think we need to find the good things in other people. This is a very, very tense political cycle here. I think there are foreign actors pumping a lot of money into propaganda to get us to just simply hate each other. Don't be the sucker. Don't fall into that. Democrats go hug a Republican. Republicans go hug a Democrat. Have your race, back your candidates, donate to political campaigns. But listen, don't fall into the trap of following hatred. Don't go down that path. It's not worth it. Please don't do anything like these two gunmen did. These guys, the one man is dead. The other guy is going to spend probably a very long time in jail. Was it worth it? It's not worth it. So, find the commonalities. Peace is so much better of a path, and trying to enjoy yourself, enjoy your fellow Americans. I do sit down with the other side politically. I sit down, I talk. You would be shocked at how much you agree. You would just be shocked. And I think, like I said before, this is a tremendous investment from people that just want us to fight each other, hate each other, so we are a weaker nation. Okay. But remember the time, those of you who are alive, remember the times after September 11th. And I'm sure it was like this for Pearl Harbor too. One way to unite Americans is just like that. I want to unite us without any kind of an event like that. We shouldn't have to go through a national tragedy to be united. We can unite ourselves. This democracy takes maintenance. It's our democracy. Nobody's going to take it from us. I don't care what side of the aisle you are on. I'm with you. I'm an American. I've got your back. I know Bernie's got your back. And, after the election, whatever, but at the end of the day, we're all Americans. We have to remember that.
Well said, good sir. Brother, how can people reach you if they need to?
I'm pretty accessible. You can find me on the internet. You can always call my company, Public Security LLC. I'm all over social media, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. So I'm pretty accessible. So you can find me.
Well, Barry, let me tell you, bro. I mean, times like these are times for people like you. You're here for a reason. And I thank you for sharing that insider knowledge. The average person doesn't know Secret Service agents. And I'm thankful that I know you and a few other ones, and I got an insight. And I just want to share that with the people. I just want you to know that I appreciate you. And I know you're always going to do the right thing. So thanks for coming on the program, brother.
And thank you. I'm so honored to be with you. And thank you for your service in the Air Force. We basically were in the military at the same time. So being with an old buddy, and you too, when you're in a room, you present just about the same, where you warm a room and you make a room feel comfort. So maybe that's our calling. You certainly do that. You give that projection. I hope I can do that as well as you. And,
trust me, I feel better when you're around. I'm always looking for you when I go to events these days.
Yeah. But let's keep being us, and let's just bring this country together.
Amen. Amen. Well, again, brother, thank you for coming on the program. And that's about it for now. So I will be in touch, and I'll see you at the next event.
Thank you.
All right. Well, that's about it for now. This has been the Loyal Opposition Podcast, produced in association with Fallback Productions and Veterans for America First. Please like, share, and subscribe as we try to grow the channel and protect America's middle class. Be sure to get your copy of my book, Black Values Matter, available as an ebook on Amazon, Audible, and Apple Books. And also, remember, it's okay to disagree. But if we want our country to prosper, we must insist on unity, transparency, and civility for ourselves and for our fellow citizens. Thanks for listening to the Loyal Opposition Podcast. We'll see you next week.